anti-Semitism as an irrational hatred of individuals or institutions just because they are Jewish. And it is, as some have described it, the oldest form of hatred, one that's persisted across time and place. It's traveled across different continents, different cultures, and is almost, if you will, a permanent fixture, I would say, of modernity. I think this audit shows us what American Jews grapple with on a day-to-day basis. I mean, first, let's be clear. They're going to school, going to work, attending classes, walking down the street like anybody else. But they know that things could turn on them like that. The data doesn't lie. Jews are just 2% of the U.S. population, yet somehow some odd 60% of all faith-based hate crimes. Literally 15% of all hate crimes in general. Jewish people know at any moment they could be targeted simply for what they believe. Not for something they've done, but simply for who they are. So I think as a Jewish person, especially just coming out of the holiday of Passover, when we remembered that we were once slaves in Egypt, that we were once strangers, it's an unfortunate reminder that we can even be strangers here in the place where we live, in the country that we love. There are multiple factors going on when you look at our new audit of anti-Semitic incidents. 2024 indeed was not just the fourth year in a row, but the fifth time in the last 6 years we've broken a new record. I think there are multiple things going on here. Number one, we're living in an incredibly polarized society. And in polarized environments where people are on edge, they're more likely to express, if you will, sort of angry thoughts. And so as the public conversation has coarsened and as anger has bubbled, people often look for stereotypes, which then gets to number two. Extremists feel emboldened in this environment. We're seeing the normalization of bias of different forms. And in a world where people are looking for scapegoats, stereotypes can take root, and the extremists who push them are elevated. And so indeed, I would say that extreme polarization and the emergence of extremists has converged into the normalization of anti-Semitism. You see it from the woke left, who blame the Jewish state on everything under the sun. You see it from elements of the extreme right, who revel in conspiracy theories. And then that normalization of anti-Semitism is amplified and expanded by social media, which is literally a super spreader of hate.
You know, one of the things that we do at ADL Center on Extremism is identify violent actors and look to see what their online footprint is. And increasingly, we are seeing elements of anti-Semitism in those attacks that we're seeing around the country, even if they don't target the Jewish community. So whether it's school shootings like we saw in Florida or Madison or in Tennessee, those also feature elements of anti-Semitism in terms of where these young people are spending their time online. And so I think the fact that anti-Semitism has just become gamified and not just normalized in these online spaces is something that is really concerning. And I think is the result of that, in part, is this massive spike in anti-Semitic incidents that we're tracking.
There's nothing wrong with questioning policies of the Israeli state, just like there's nothing wrong with questioning policy of the American government or any other government on any other planet in the world. But what's different is not when you're questioning a particular policy, but when you hold the whole country out for a special degree of judgment. It's when you're not, again, asking about why did the government undertake a specific action, but you're literally questioning its very right to exist. Now, this might be theoretical for some countries, for sure. I mean, in reality, if you were questioning France's right to exist or Brazil's right to exist, that might not feel like a real existential issue. But remember, Israel has been at war since the day it was founded in 1948. Remember, Israel has been subjected to ongoing serial conflict, intra-national conflict, and conflict promoted and perpetuated by political and religious extremists, and zealots. So this is a country that should be treated equally like every other, and yet it's been treated in an abnormal way since the start.
There's a lot of criticism of Israel out there that we simply do not include in the audit. It's not relevant to our data. But where Israel or Zionism is included in broader anti-Semitic tropes, that is when we include it in the audit. So, for example, if there's a protest against the actions of, Israeli military or Israeli policy, and that protest is happening in front of a synagogue, that's essentially ascribing blame to all Jews for the actions of the state of Israel. That's what we include as anti-Semitism, not mere criticism of policy.
It's the first time that a majority of anti-Semitic incidents in America had some tie to Israel. And for some people that might raise eyebrows. But let me be clear. It is not a normal form of protest when you stand in front of a synagogue and scream from the river to the sea at worshipers. It is not a normal form of protest when you demonstrate in front of a Hillel where students are congregating and scream, globalize the Intifada. It is not a normal form of protest where in places like Brooklyn or Pico Robertson or other neighborhoods that have large Orthodox or publicly observant Jews, when you attack them, belittle them, berate them about something happening on the other side of the world. That's not protest. That's prejudice. That's not an argument. That's anti-Semitism. That's why we call it out as such.
I think the biggest, change that we have seen in the audit this year is that the majority of incidents for the first time included elements related to Israel or Zionism. And in some ways, that's not surprising in a post-October 7th world, but to see how much the conflict has animated various types of anti-Semitic assault, vandalism, and harassment on the ground, I think is one of the biggest takeaways from this audit.
If you are looking for raucous, robust debates about what's going on in Israel that aren't anti-Semitic, let me point you to Israel. Look at the Israeli press. Look at the Jewish press. Look at Jewish organizations from synagogues to schools, JCCs, even at ADL. There are a broad range of opinions. But questioning policies isn't about questioning people's right to exist. And so there's a stark difference in genuine debate versus, genuine hate. And that's the difference we call out. ADL has been conducting an annual audit of anti-Semitic incidents since the 1970s. And we've simply never seen numbers like this. So these are the things I really want people to remember. Number one, anti-Semitism is a clear and present danger. Number two, anti-Semitism requires whole of society strategies if we hope to stop it. And number three, anti-Semitism is anti-Americanism. We've got to think about it like that.